No one can get away. Rajnath Singh, after China, daily praises India's rising stature. Please subscribe for regular updates on every singly important global event. Let's delve into the video. Citing a recent article written by Chinese state-controlled Global Times, which praised India's growth story and its rising global stature, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on Wednesday said China's perspective on India changed after the Galwan Valley skirmish in 2020, news agency ANI reported. Speaking at a community reception at the India House in London, Rajnath Singh said India was now a strategic power and not a weak country. He also said no one could scare India and get away with it. A columnist for the Global Times, which, in a way, is a mouthpiece for China, published an article with the headline, "What I See About Bharat Narrative in India." This article is a ringing affirmation of the changing Chinese perspective on India. It seems the Chinese government has come to accept that our economic and foreign policies, as well as our changing strategic interests, have helped India emerge as a key global economic player and a strategic power, he said. "I believe that the courage shown by our Jawans during the standoff with Chinese troops at Galwan Valley in Arunachal Pradesh helped alter Beijing's perspective on India. We are no longer a weak country in the eyes of the world. We are a rising global power. Ab aisa nahi hai ki Bharat ko aankh dikha ke jo chahe so nikal jaye. No one can scare us and get away with it," he said. "We don't see anyone as our enemy, but the world is aware that the relationship between India and China is currently under strain. However, we wish to cultivate good ties with all our neighbors and countries across the globe," he said. Rajnath Singh said the Chinese government, whether they like it or not, has accepted that India cannot be ignored at the global level. The writer also noted that the Chinese government now accepts that whether you like India or not, our image and rising global standing can no longer be ignored. Previously, when trade imbalances were discussed, India would count on Beijing to minimize trade imbalances between the two countries. However, that trend is no longer in vogue, the defense minister said. The immediate fallout of this event was immense. It resulted in a tense standoff along the line of actual control, with both sides ramping up their military presence. Despite the tragic losses and heightened tensions, both countries adhered to protocols to avoid the use of firearms along the border. This incident, however, was not just a physical confrontation. It was a clash of national pride, of territorial claims, of long-standing disputes. It marked a significant shift in the dynamics between the two nations, a shift that would ripple far beyond the Galwan Valley. This incident led to a shift not just in the military standoff, but also in the diplomatic relations between the two nations. The aftermath of the Galwan Valley skirmish saw a series of significant events unfold. The tension that had been simmering along the line of actual control began to cool down, albeit gradually, as both India and China engaged in a phased withdrawal of their troops. Yet, the border remained a hotbed of activity, with India accusing China of attempting to alter the status quo and even preventing Chinese troops from encroaching on its territory during a border scuffle in the Tawang sector of Arunachal Pradesh. In the face of these allegations and the persisting tension, India made some strategic moves. The country started moving closer to the West, deepening its security cooperation with the United States, Japan, and Australia. These joint military exercises were a clear signal of India's intent to fortify its international alliances. In a strong response to the Galwan Valley clash, India also flexed its digital muscles. The country banned several Chinese mobile applications, a move that sent ripples across the digital world. This was a clear message that India was willing to safeguard its digital space and wouldn't hesitate to make tough decisions. In spite of these skirmishes and strategic shifts, trade between the two Asian giants remained robust, highlighting the intricate and complex relationship they share. It's a relationship that's been strained by territorial disputes but also bound by economic interdependence. These events have led to a redefinition of the relationship between India and China. The Galwan Valley skirmish, while a tragic incident, became a turning point in their bilateral ties, prompting both nations to reassess their positions and strategies. Now let's delve into how China's perspective on India has evolved post-Galwan Valley skirmish. In a fascinating shift of stance, the Chinese state-controlled Global Times recently penned an article that extolled the narrative of India's growth story. This is a remarkable departure from previous tones which were largely dismissive or even dismissive of India's global aspirations. The article praised India's rising global stature, acknowledging the country's economic growth and its increasing influence on the world stage. It's worth noting that this shift in China's perspective comes after the Galwan Valley skirmish in 2020. This incident, as we've discussed, marked a significant escalation in the long-standing border disputes between the two nations. India's Defense Minister, Rajnath Singh, pointed to this article as evidence of China's changing perspective on India. In his words, the Chinese perspective shifted after the Galwan Valley incident. That skirmish was a turning point not just in India-China relations, but also in how China perceives India's role in the region and the world. This changing narrative from China's side could be indicative of a broader shift in its strategy towards India. Perhaps it's a recognition of India's growing economic and strategic importance, or maybe it's a calculated move to diffuse tensions and foster better relations in the wake of recent clashes. Regardless of the reasons, this changing perspective from China opens up new avenues for dialogue and engagement between the two nations. It's an opportunity to redefine and reshape the dynamics of this complex relationship. This could potentially be a new chapter in the India-China relationship. As we navigate through the complex dynamics of the India-China relationship, it's important to recap the key points. We've journeyed from the tense standoff in the Galwan Valley, where the loss of lives on both sides marked a turning point in their relationship. This event, shrouded in the rugged terrains of the Himalayas, had far-reaching implications, causing ripples in the diplomatic ties between the two countries. Post-Galwan, the dynamics shifted. Despite the ongoing border tensions, the Chinese perspective on India began to evolve. A notable shift was seen in the Chinese state-controlled Global Times praise for India's growth story and its rising global stature. This was a testament to the fact that India's resilience and valor in the face of adversity had not gone unnoticed. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh's assertion that China's perspective on India changed after the Galwan skirmish underscores this evolution. This change, however, doesn't erase the lingering tensions and the constant vigilance maintained along the line of actual control. It remains to be seen how this relationship will evolve in the future, but one thing is certain: the events of the past few years have undeniably changed the course of India-China relations.